Ted, kicks off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
Well, I had to go with LSU. First time in history, teammates have gone number 1 and number 2 in the Major League Baseball draft. Paul Skenes goes to the Pirates. I hate that for him, but still pretty cool to go number 1 overall. And then Dylan Crews goes number 2 to the Washington Nationals. Pretty impressive. I mean, everyone remembers Skeen from the World Series. He ended the season with 209 strikeouts in 122 innings pitched. That's pretty awesome.
Good Lord. That's a big dude, too.
Yes.
I mean,
Very
that
big
is a
dude.
big dude on the mound. And did you see the part where they hadn't announced the pick yet and ESPN accidentally, they were going through each team and like what picks, and they already had him on the Pirates graphic like
I
before
didn't
the
see
pick
that.
had even been
That's
made. It was
funny.
pretty funny.
Yeah, he had, I mean, incredible. Big dude, throws incredibly hard and does it seemingly effortless. Interested to see what he does in the league. And then Dylan Crews, back-to-back SEC Player of the Year. That's pretty impressive. Hit 426 and 17 homers his last year. Pretty cool. First teammates to go 1 and 2, and the feeling is both of those guys should climb their way through the minors pretty quickly.
Yeah. So I was reading about those guys, just in a historic accomplishment for that program, right? Win a title, go 1-2 in the draft. Just what a run. Baseball's so interesting. Like in football, the number 1 pick of the draft. Like you think about what the expectations are for Bryce Young next season
Day
for the
one,
Panthers.
yeah.
It's like, hey, you better come and start turning this thing around. Like all the pressure in the world to come out and perform. In baseball, these guys get picked and they just kind of disappear for a little. It's such a
Weird.
strange system, strange sport.
Very weird. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, think about that too, though. Brian Kelly going into year 2. Baseball coach won a championship in year 2. Women's basketball coach won a championship in year 2. And he's got the quarterback to go do it, man. They're a dangerous team this coming year. I know he's kind of pushing all that off to the future, but like this may be their year to strike in the SEC with some a little bit of change going on. Georgia's changing quarterbacks, Alabama's changing quarterbacks. Just pretty interesting.
How can of all people, how can you suggest that LSU may win a title? Come on, man. What are you doing?
Just saying.
Fair. That's why you're the best. Because you're fair.
JS.
You're just saying. I like that. All right. Who do you have as your loser of the week?
I'm going back to back. Pat Fitzgerald.
Ooh. Happened quick, huh?
What a development. We talked about this Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, and weren't sure what was going to happen in the future. And the future happened fast. Fired yesterday, and seems like we're gearing up for a legal battle. I mean, you could say what you want about the decision. Should he have been fired? Should he not have been fired? What did he know? What did he not know? But the decision the way they went about firing him was not very good legally. So fascinated to see how all that unfolds.
I think it could get a little sticky. Now, in a perfect world, it all gets handled behind closed doors and they settle, and who knows what Pat Fitzgerald gets. But I think he had like $40-something million left on his contract. I mean, it's a big number. One of the things I don't understand, Northwestern's supposed to be the smart school. How can the leadership, how did they handle this as poorly as they did? And of course, the allegations and all these things that went on within the program, that it's weird. It can't happen. Like Pat Fitzgerald, whether he knew or not, which I find it incredibly hard to believe he didn't know anything about that hazing stuff with how long he was there and just his presence in that program. But how can they handle it as poorly? How can the leadership handle it as poorly as they did? They're supposed to be nerds. They're supposed to be the super smart ones.
It's amazing that they can't see. Like, I was joking about how stupid a 2-week suspension during the dead part of the year is, right? That's stupid. Like, how could you not see that doing nothing is opening yourself up to a massive PR nightmare? And that's exactly what happened. Like, how can you read a report on one day, say we're given a 2-week unpaid suspension during the offseason, then be inundated with social media, and you know how that's going to happen. A newspaper article comes out, and then the next day you fire your coach? Nothing has changed. You had a third-party independent investigation that went through everything. They talked to everybody. All the facts are on the table. Nothing has changed with what the leadership knew from one day to the next. This day, it's a 2-week unpaid suspension in the offseason. The next day, you fire your coach. That is like, put this up on the whiteboard for anyone that's teaching a class on like how not to go through any type of public situation. Like, this is not how you handle a crisis. It was horribly managed. And again, that go like, I don't know anything about the report. I haven't read the report, but the people who read it gave a 2-week unpaid suspension, and then the next day they fired their coach. That's dumb. And my other question is, why does no one ever listen to the players? You know, whenever a team comes together, and I don't know. I guess it's just weird. There's just this massive mob that is so quick to jump all over everyone. And I see all like the national media guys. It's like, here's who should be the next coach, and here's a guy that I think could do some good work there. And it's like, fired, moved on. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird how things get handled and how people react. It's fascinating. I don't know enough about it to have an idea of what should be done with Pat Fitzgerald. I don't know. There's players that are saying that all of these stories are massively embellished, that didn't go on. There's people saying that the guy that made the accusations was telling people beforehand that he's just doing it to try and get Fitzgerald fired. I mean, so there's a lot of stuff like going on. I don't know what's right, but it's just, it's weird how you have an independent investigation and you give a 2-week suspension, and then the very next day you fire your coach. I can't understand that.
It's the power of public opinion, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Caving to the pressure. That's what it is. And public opinion, when you're an institution like Northwestern, I think that is like, we saw, and the Bob Huggins thing continues to get more and more interesting, right? He's put out another letter. But when he said what he said on that radio show, right, we saw West Virginia back him. Like, that community, that fan base, back him. And, players, like all those things. But West Virginia and Northwestern are very different institutions. And their fan bases look very different, right? I mean, when you think about all of that. So I think that the school, the reputation of Northwestern, like all of that, I think it's a big factor. Like, oh, we can't handle this embarrassment. And we talked about it on the last episode. It's hard enough to recruit there. This was going to make it, if they were going to keep him and this was going to hang over that program, It's going to make it really, really difficult to get players to go play there. And just really difficult. But
it still is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think anything changes there.
They're going to blow it up, man. They're going to absolutely blow it up, right? They just named the defensive coordinator that's been there for a few months, right, as the guy that's in charge of running the program. They are going to absolutely clean house. And I think the president, the athletic director, eventually I think they're all gone, right? Because the board of trustees there at Northwestern, I got to imagine, I don't know who's on that board. I got to imagine it's a lot of influential and successful people that are so pissed off about how this entire thing has been handled. Right.
It's horrible. Like legally, the way they fired him legally was dumb. They didn't, like, the players found out that he was fired on social media. Like, and then they had like a Zoom call. Like, the whole thing is just, it's absurd how it was handled. Can you imagine being one of the players that was in on these stupid little things that they were doing, and you're sitting there like your coach is now fired because of it? Like,
that's got to be an awful feeling.
Awful feeling.
I still think about the fact that, you know, I was part of an offensive line that, and they can call it whatever they want, but they got James Patton fired. And it ate at me, man. Like, what could I have done better as a player, as a leader, like, to where that guy didn't have to pick up and move his entire family? Like, it ate at me. I mean, you think about the legacy, all the guys that have played for Fitzgerald, and if you were one of the guys that was doing this bullshit, that has to be, I mean, his legacy is tarnished forever because of this stuff. Forever. No one will ever think of Pat Fitzgerald the same. Ever. Because of what these guys were doing. And who knows what Fitzgerald knew and how much influence he had on what was going on. I don't know. And I'm not sure we'll ever know. But these guys, they have to feel awful because their actions, and once again, I don't know what Fitzgerald knew, but their actions ruined the reputation. I think it ruined one of the best reputations I can recall for a college football coach. I had never heard one bad thing about Pat Fitzgerald. Not one.
I still really haven't.
Yeah.
Because I've heard the suggestion that he must have known.
The president who put out the thing and said, hey, this was my decision alone, right, to fire him. The statement that he put out, it said that I think it was like 11 more former student athletes had come and talked about the hazing and the issues in the program. But in that statement, he said that they hadn't discovered anything that led them to believe that Pat Fitzgerald knew about it.
Yeah.
Did any this was a 6-month investigation
ever go to Pat Fitzgerald or anyone previously and say something? Like, I'm not suggesting that coaches have no clue what happens in the locker room, but a lot of times they don't know until someone tells them.
Right.
Like, they're not in there. The coaches typically are not in the locker room. The only time a coach may come through the locker room that I've seen is like directly after practice, having a conversation about something that happened in practice, not necessarily bad or good or whatever. Like hey, I was thinking about this. Like, there's just kind of like a walk as everyone walks into the locker room after a practice. To me, and a game day. Other than that, you may never see a coach in there. So it has to be like, and they obviously learn things, but I can't wrap my head around how a coach would know about some of these things. This ain't the 90s. When Pat Fitzgerald played, which were there probably a bunch of hazing things everywhere. It's like one of the things that people did. You hear the stories about it, but I can't imagine this day and age that as a coach or a staff, like if you hear about that, that there's not someone that says, listen, maybe all this is harmless, but all it takes is one guy to say that he's upset about it. And this is an absolute, what storm that can get all of us fired. I just don't know how someone doesn't raise their hand and say that if they knew it was going on. But, those things do happen. So maybe they knew and maybe they thought it was nothing somehow.
I want to see the report.
We will.
And I do want to say, I was listening to the Cover 3. They had a little emergency pod about Fitzgerald getting fired, and Cannell said that it's like, oh yeah, naked bear crawling. That happens in a lot of locker rooms. No, it doesn't. You and I, we were at Oklahoma, right? One of the biggest programs. Nothing like that ever happened when I was at OU. You've never told me anything like that happened when you were at OU. And then you and I played in a lot of different NFL locker rooms. I never heard one guy talk about having to naked bear crawl in college or in the pros. To say that happens in a lot of locker rooms, that's just not true. I couldn't believe he said that. I was just like, wait, what? That doesn't happen in a lot of locker rooms.
I heard stories of things that happened previously, but I never witnessed anything. I heard stories, but I never witnessed anything. And I can't remember for sure, but I feel like Coach Stoops made it a point. I can't remember what year, but he said no hazing. I think. I know for a fact that whenever I went to the NFL, my rookie year is the greatest thing ever, because I was like, in the NFL, you hear all kinds of crazy stories. And Mariucci, first day, said, there's no hazing in here of any kind. There's nothing. There's no shaving heads. There's no rookies singing their fight song. There's nothing of any kind. And I was like, yes. So, like a coach, I feel like it's a coach's responsibility. Like, if you do, as soon as you do that, it's almost like if something happens, I could take care of it at a different day. But you guys have been warned, right? We've had the presentation, no hazing,
I got my head shaved into quite a hilarious pattern, honestly. And the GM in Tennessee, Rustin Webster, he claimed he said that the veteran guys weren't supposed to do that. I don't think he ever said that in a meeting, and he fined the absolute hell out of the veteran O linemen that shaved our heads. And then I had to get up in front of the entire team and sing. I played a hit, man. John Legend, Ordinary People. I knew everyone would know the words to that song. Standing ovation. Ted performed it, got really into it. Like they could feel the effort. Now, yep. Whether it sounded good, that's to be determined. It didn't sound good, but it got the people going.
That's it. The key, don't go with your favorite song.
No.
Don't go with the last song you listened to. Go with something everybody knows, and that they'll all chime in instantly. And
it was quick, too. Everyone in there started singing quick, and it was, for example, Taylor Lewan was the first rounder that year. Love that guy. He selected a song called Show Me Your Genitals. And everyone was looking at it. He got booed. I mean, strong boo.
He didn't go to Northwestern, did he?
He did not. Michigan man.
Okay.
Michigan man. I see
Yeah.
what you did there.
You kind of want to be average. If you're really good, everyone's going to you're going to have to sing for a while by yourself. If you're really bad, everyone's going to let's watch this disaster unfold. If you're just kind of okay in the middle, you're going to get some people chiming in quickly.
I think I was perfectly average, and the older guys appreciated the effort.
Nice.
That's where, that's why I was like, you know what? I'm going for it, man.
Just go for it. Yep. There you go. I like
but
it.
that was my that, and I had to get Andy Levitri and Michael Roos coffee all the time, and that's why I started drinking coffee.
There you go.
True story.
Got them to blame.
All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first,
John Vance Auto Group has been serving Oklahomans for 40 years. Family owned and operated. They've got 9 full service dealerships in Woodward, Miami, and Guthrie. No matter what your vehicle needs are, John Vance Auto Group has you covered. They carry domestic brands such as Ford, Lincoln, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Wagoneer. John Vance Auto Group's goal is to give unequaled service and to exceed customers' expectations in every way, which is why they have their lifetime loyalty program. Here's how it works. You buy a new or used car from them. All you have to do is get all of the manufacturer recommended maintenance done at the Vance dealership. And if something goes wrong with the components of your engine, transmission, drive, axle, or transfer unit, they will cover the repair cost. It's a great deal. You can browse their entire inventory or find the John Vance dealership near you at vanceautogroup.com.
And First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs. Checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all. Whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone, everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts could not be easier. Come on, people. Make your life easier and go bank with First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information. All right, for my winner of the week, thought about going with the Portland Trailblazers general manager, Joe Cronin. I just love what he had to say. Got asked about the Damian Lillard situation. Said they're going to be patient when it comes to trading him, right? Lillard has made a trade request. But I loved what he said. Said, hey, we appreciate everything Damian Lillard's done, but and we want the rest, we care about what the rest of his career looks like, but got to do what's best for the Portland Trailblazers. And if it takes months to trade him, then it takes months. I just loved hearing common sense come out of his mouth. It's like, yeah, we appreciate him, but man, my job is to not do what's best for Damian Lillard. It's to do what is best for this organization. I don't know. It was nice and refreshing to hear some common sense from a leader in sports. I liked it. It was refreshing.
Yeah. The GM in the NBA is weird because you really get backed into a corner on a lot of these contracts, and not really saying that Damian Lillard, this doesn't necessarily represent him, but a lot of times you have to sign these guys to massive contracts that that it's not going to work, right? They're not going to be that type of player, but you're kind of put in a position where you
can't lose the asset.
That's it.
For nothing.
It's tough, man. So not an easy spot, but yeah, that's kind of the way you handle it.
Yeah. And by the way, I think Portland's going to be just fine with Scoot Henderson. He didn't play a ton. He got he hurt his shoulder in that summer league game. I'm sure he's fine, but that is an explosive dude. Mm-hmm. I think the shooting will come. That is one explosive dude. But my winner of the week, Christopher Eubanks. Yeah, we're talking tennis. Had a little Wimbledon. First of all, guy's an American. He's the only American left in the men's bracket. Stud. Played tennis at Georgia Tech and just knocked off Tsitsipas. And if anyone watches, Breakpoint on Netflix, not the biggest fan of Tsitsipas. Guy's kind of a douche. Okay. Yeah. He just, I don't know. The way that he handled the matchup with Kyrgios last year at Wimbledon and all the things he said, I don't know. He just, I don't particularly like the guy, even though very handsome, incredibly talented tennis player. But back to Eubanks. Just an awesome story, man. Right? It seems like everything's just coming together for this guy at the right time. Like the lead up to this, he's been on a roll, and this was his first top 10 win in his career, because Tsitsipas is, I think, he's the 5 seed, and I think he's the number 5 player in the world.
Wow.
So I guess it's also his first top 5 win then. But just a really, really cool story. And man, it is our patriotic duty to root for the American that's left in Wimbledon. I mean, come on, Ted, let's go.
Who's the last American to win Wimbledon? Men's.
I have no idea. My guess is Arthur Ashe. I have no idea.
No.
I'm just kidding. Pete Sampras?
Well, Sampras definitely.
Agassi's not American, is he?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't think Roddick ever won it.
No, he didn't win it. Last American to win Wimbledon. Oh, Andy Roddick. Oh, wait. No, he made the final in 2009. Okay. Pete Sampras in 2000.
Woo. That's called a drought. Gabe.
Arthur Ashe was on top of mine because I saw a stat that Eubanks is the 3rd Black American to play in a Wimbledon quarterfinal, which is, I mean, clearly very significant. Guy grew up playing tennis in Atlanta. It's just, it's a really interesting story. And yeah, 2000. We're talking an OU football natty drought for Americans at Wimbledon.
No doubt. Woo. That's a long time. Ooh, is that a good sign? We need this kid to go win it. That'd be a good sign for us.
Yeah, he's got Medvedev in the quarters. We'll see how that goes. I'll say this about Eubanks. I saw him doing some studio stuff on ESPN. That dude is phenomenal on camera. He was breaking down, I'll send it to you. He's breaking down all the things he was thinking, like his strategy during the match with Tsitsipas. And it was just really cool. As someone that doesn't know anything about tennis strategy, like my tennis knowledge is I know the rules. That's it. Like that's my tennis knowledge. I don't know anything about strategy or what these players are thinking or how you even prepare for a match. Like I know none of that. And to hear him talk through that stuff, it was really, really cool for me to hear it. And it was just, you could tell he was seeing what he was talking about in his head as he was talking about. It was really cool.
It's cool. It's cool. Hopefully he keeps it going. I like that.
And he said something that really caught my attention. He said in the 4th set, he started seeing the ball big. And then he said early in the 5th, he started seeing the ball huge. And once again, no tennis knowledge, but when I heard him say that, I was like, ooh, that's good. Like, that's cool. Like, I'm not exactly sure what it means, but I know, hey, if you're seeing the ball big, good thing. Good thing for a tennis player.
Yeah, well, I know that if I was standing there and someone hit 135-mile-an-hour serve at me, I wouldn't see the ball at all. So if he's seeing it big, that's awesome. Yeah, I can imagine when you start to get confident, whatever you get a feel for what your opponent's doing, and yeah, that's confidence, man.
How about
in the zone?
Andre Agassi, born in Vegas. I had no idea.
Rebel.
No idea. Remember the hair? Oh, that was those were the glory days of American tennis when Agassi had the hair and the earring.
Hair, earring, headband, pre-match meth, and the Rebel camera.
Yeah.
That's it. There you go.
I'll say this for Eubanks. Hope the guy wins. I think that match is Wednesday. If he can make a run here, and let's say he wins it. I'm just telling you, man. And once again, I know nothing about listening to people talk tennis. I'll just tell you right now, that dude had me captivated by the way that he was talking. If he can win some tournaments, right? Maybe if he wins Wimbledon, I don't think there's anything stopping him from being like an Orlovsky.
Yeah.
But for tennis. Right? Like I thought he was that good. Now, I don't hear a lot of people breaking down tennis all the time, so maybe I'm overreacting, but dude, I'm just telling you, I was blown away by his presence and the way that he was breaking stuff down. It was fascinating.
I need to hear that because
I'll send it to you.
I don't know that I've ever heard anyone do that with tennis.
Yeah. No, it was cool. All right, but my loser of the week, we were both watching, man, Home Run Derby. And I'm not saying what those guys were doing wasn't really, really impressive. It absolutely was. They were basically doing 3 straight minutes of cardio. And then they had their bonus time. Like it did not look fun at all. Watching those guys huff and puff, it looked really taxing for them. But this format just isn't fun to watch. Now I'll fully admit, maybe it's more fun to watch in person. Right? Maybe it's electric to watch a guy, blast 41 home runs like we saw Rodriguez do. Like that was insane, by the way. But maybe that's really, really fun to watch in person. But it was not a good TV product. In fact, I think it was an awful TV product. I don't want to watch the Home Run Derby when you got a split screen with the tracer like it's a PGA Tour pro hitting a tee shot. Man, that's not what I'm trying to watch when I'm watching the Home Run Derby. I want to see how far these dingers are flying. I want the ball to travel. I want the camera to follow it. I want to see the crowd reaction when the people are catching it in the stands. I don't need the bonus time. I don't need the cardio workout. I don't need the pitcher to see how many pitches he can throw as fast as he can. Like, I don't want that in my Home Run Derby. Am I being old, or are you on board with me?
I'm somewhat on board with you. Now, here's the thing. The old format, people hated.
Right.
It did not go well. That's why they changed it. And when they first changed it, it was awesome. But here's the problem. And this is the main problem that you're talking about. And I didn't see enough of it last night. As soon as you text me, I flipped it on. They're supposed to wait until the ball lands to throw the next pitch. That's how, when they first changed this format, that's how it was. They've totally gotten away from that. And the reason they originally did that is because you got 100 kids out there running around, and you don't want a kid trying to catch a fly ball get drilled with a line drive, right? So it was a safety thing. And the guys at the plate kept like complaining, I'm running out of time, throw it. And the ump was back there standing with his hand up. So their pitcher's like, what do I do? So they just started not listening to the ump and throwing it. And then that's where you came into this deal where it's just like whack, whack, whack.
It was crazy.
Right. So you don't get in the old, like in previously in this new format, you had a chance to watch see how far the ball went, and then they'd cut right back, and then it would be the next pitch. But now that they stopped holding them until the ball hit it, that they just rapid fire. You never get to see anything.
I just want these guys to hit bombs and like watch them. That was the thing. Like these guys weren't even enjoying their work during the Home Run Derby. They were like, hey, hit it, eyes back to the pitcher, hit it. Like, I want to see the guy's reaction, his smile with how like an ooh, like when it goes really, really far. That's what I want to see. But the old format, it took too long, right? There are too many lulls. So here's my suggestion. I want to get your thoughts on it. Go back to the 10 outs format. I feel like it was more dramatic. I feel like it built tension better. Like, oh, he's got to hit 4 home runs. He's down to 2 outs. Like that was, I liked that portion of it. But I think you have to implement some type of rule when it comes to taking pitches. You can't take back-to-back pitches. You got to swing the bat, right? You can't sit there and and that puts a lot of pressure on the pitcher. I realize that, but hey, it is what it is. I don't think what we just got works, right? Because, and I know there are a lot of people there in person, but it is a television product, and that was a bad television product. So go back to the 10 out format and limit the number of pitches the guys can take. Tell them they can't take 2 pitches in a row. It shouldn't be that hard, but I think that would be better than what we just watched.
Here's why it is hard. Because essentially what you've got is it's the 3-point contest. Who can hit the most home runs in a given amount of time? It's more similar to the 3-point contest than it is anything. But a home run is a slam dunk, right? So how do you combine a slam dunk contest where there's you need some style points, you want to see bombs, you want to see how far guys can hit it, with you've got to somehow combine volume and distance. So I like the 10 out rule.
Distance tiebreaker?
I would say if you hit it whatever the number is, what was the number for the
I think it was 440 for the bonus time.
I would make that, if you're going to do the 10 out format, I would make it further and say that if you hit it past that line, you eliminate out. You get to keep going.
Yeah.
Because you want to maximize guys trying to hit it as far as they can. That is when you come away from the home run derby, volume is always going to be something that's impressive, but the guy that hits it the furthest really wins the home run derby. Yeah. It's you hit a 500-foot monster. That's what everyone's going to walk away talking about.
Yeah. I'm complaining a lot, but congrats to Vlad Guerrero Jr.
That's pretty cool. With first time father son, huh?
Yeah. I think the graphic said he was Cuban, which not correct. Not correct. That I'm interested. I want to know who typed that graphic up and the type of day they're having today as they get just roasted across social media. I thought, what?
Well, someone had said,
yeah, I thought, wait, what do you mean? He was actually born in Canada, dude. Yeah. His dad was playing baseball. You ever heard of him? Vlad Guerrero. But congrats to him on the win. And I thought the coolest thing of the night was Rushman switch hitting. That was a strong flex. And I don't even know. Wasn't that his dad serving him up the meatballs too? Was his dad pitching to him?
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet.
A lot of pressure to put on Pops to go in there. But if you're not necessarily as worried as if you know you're not going to win it, go have fun with it. One of those things. I don't know, but that's a lot. The pressure is more. It's a weird dynamic that the guy that's under the most amount of pressure is the guy serving up the balls instead of the hitter.
That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be that way. Now, there's always going to be pressure on the pitcher no matter what format you go with, but I bet there's some pitchers today that threw that are icing their arms, man. That was a lot of throwing.
Well, that's when I watch the home run derby, all I think about is blisters with how hard they're swinging just over and over and over. It's and I know they've got their hands built up for that, but that's all I could think about when I was seeing those guys grip that bat and just 110% effort.
I know this. I don't want, when the guys are done swinging, I don't want it to look like they just went on a Peloton ride. And they can barely breathe. I felt so bad for those dudes.
I don't care to hear them talk either, especially whenever they're that out of breath.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is not that. He threw it up there and then I hit it. Yeah.
Yeah, this home run derby is like the hardest cardio workout these baseball guys have had in a while.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Impressive
Also,
though, man. Impressive.
yeah, saw a Rushman clip of him. He was a kicker at Oregon State. I didn't know that. He tackled Christian McCaffrey. Yeah,
Huh.
multi-sport athlete, baseball player, and kicker. How about that?
That's fascinating.
Fascinating.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, go check it out. Saw the
Impressive.
clip going around on Twitter. It's like, oh,